Hello, world. Man, it's such a beautiful day. It's a little overcast. I keep expecting some rain, but the sun keeps peeking out every so often and goes away. Real windy. I'm sure y'all could probably hear that. I can definitely hear it now. Trees are blowing around. Let's see if we can catch some of that on video. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. See the trees blowing around in the wind. Absolutely beautiful day. Oh, there's some sun peeking out over there. Oh, there comes the sun. There, wait, before it goes away. There, well, and then it went. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I put this off long enough. Want to start talking about high school. So we'll call this Scholastic Life High School. Excuse me. Oh, had a lot of things happen in high school. Uh, Pretty much, uh, I pulled myself out of resource in the end of seventh grade. So in eighth grade, I went into regular English and didn't know a damn thing, and had to figure it out on my own. Literally, had to figure it all out on my own. And I realized that English, word smithing, I guess you can call it, or putting words together and such, was real similar to mathematics. You've got your double negatives, you've got sentence structure, everything else. It reminded me a lot of mathematical equations. So for some reason, I was able to grasp it. Once I was actually taught it, and of course, like I said, I picked up a lot of it on my own. Not my first year of high school, but my second year of high school is when I started reading books. I started hanging around some uh, uh, what turned out to be a real good friend of mine, and then another one. Started hanging out with his family up the street from me, and somebody that just moved. When I started high school, just kind of moved into the area, into the neighborhood, and we started playing Dungeons and Dragons and other stuff, and it inspired me. Uh, it really inspired me to use my imagination and to think, I guess, outside of the box, so to speak, in a lot of situations, and also encouraged me to start reading, which advanced my IQ. Um, and from then on, I started caring more about school. From about my second year on of high school, I failed my first year of high school, our freshman year. Ended up having to repeat my freshman year because I didn't have the tools. They kept passing me and passing me and passing me. Didn't matter if uh, didn't matter uh, how good I did in the previous school years. They went ahead and passed me on because I was in resource, and they figured. I guess they figured there was no use trying. He's in resource. There's no use, trying to teach him or whatever. And they just kept passing me on and passing me on up until I stopped resource. Luckily, passed the eighth grade, and I guess by the skin of my teeth, got into ninth grade, and it was a whole different ballgame. Now, once I got into ninth grade, I had to deal with a lot of kids that were older than me, a lot of bullies and abusers that I had to mitigate. I had to, you know, figure out how I was going to move around that school without encouraging the wrath of a bully, and that was quite difficult. Not to mention having to deal with the school itself, not trusting teachers, not trusting adults, not trusting the kids. Uh, but once I started uh, taking more of an interest in my work and taking more of an interest in the studies and stuff like that, started making started making A's and B's, believe it or not. me, uh, started tutoring other kids in some of the. So I tutored one girl in mathematics. I tutored a couple of other people in English. Believe it or not, and I also started becoming what a lot of the girls, I guess, in my grade, uh, atoned as Uncle Mike. I became a listener. I was always a listener. I was always studying and watching and everything else, but I was able to use that to listen. Just basically listen to what other people's problems were. I was really good at it. I offered a little bit of advice here, a little bit of advice there, when asked. But the main thing is they apparently need somebody to talk to, and I was there to be that person, which was great. I learned a lot about other people, and I learned a lot about how other people thought, and that was the key. Learning how other people think about different situations, how they thought about their place, their current place in the world, uh, how they thought about this, how they thought about that, based on studying them, based on listening to them, listening to their problems, etc., etc. I still had to deal with bullies, and it wasn't until, let's say, how are we at? 6 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm gonna try to keep this at 10. We may have to break this one up. It wasn't until uh, I'd say probably my sophomore year, which would have been in my third year of high school, that I finally started fighting back against the bullies. I had, uh, it was after Christmas break. The ground was kind of, we got back to school. The ground was kind of snowy. I'd been pretty much a loner too up until this point. And, I did have a few people that I considered friends, but they weren't really friends. There was a couple that were friends, really good friends. But that was about it. Mainly, it was, I guess you can call it acquaintances. And I, it was Christmas break. It was after Christmas break. I was used to wear just blue jeans, kind of like a tennis shoes, uh, shirt, and one of my uncle's old Vietnam Army jacket. And I was walking on a gravelly, wet, snowy, kind of snowy, not much snow, just a little bit, little flakes here, little flakes there, and but mainly it was starting to melt. And a group of bullies were messing with me, and I always walked away. I always tried to walk away from the bullies. But at this particular time, a bully shoved me in the back, shoved me down. I mean, they were picking on me pretty hard, but shoved me as I'm walking away onto the ground. My knees hit some rocks, my palms hit some rocks, and right then and there I snapped. I snapped. I've had enough. I've been bullied and bullied and bullied, and I wasn't I wasn't going to take it anymore. Believe it or not. I said believe it or not a lot this episode. Oh well. But I reached down. I mean, just fire was in my eyes. I mean, I just literally just angry at the situation, angry that these people would not leave me alone, angry that I didn't do anything. I didn't do a damn thing to encourage this. So I looked down, crunched my hands around some mud and some rocks, jumped up off the ground, threw that. I mean, there's just a little bit of mud, a little bit of rocks, not much. Slung my hands out. The guy was probably the main focus of this encounter was probably about, let's say, 10 feet away from me. Slung my hands towards his face, let go, let the rocks and mud splatter him. He kind of, ducked because of that. And I ran over, picked him up, threw him on the ground, and started beating the holy fuck out of him. I mean, literally, I was on top of him, and I was just wailing on him. Of course, I didn't have any technique. I wasn't punching him in the face or anything like that, but I was just wailing, just, like a windmill on top of him. And I look at him, and he's curled up like a fetus, like a little baby underneath me. You know, his knees are tucked up, his arms are around his face. He's trying to protect himself, and I mean, I'm just on top of him, just beating the crap out of him. And then I stop, I put my hand on him, and I look around, and all these other kids, some of them were the bullies, some of them were just other kids just around at the time, were all slack jawed, you know, like that, just looking at me like, oh my gosh, you know. And right then and there, I realized, man, I just lost it. And there's no telling if what I could have done to this kid if I didn't take control of it. So I pushed off of him, stood up, told him that if you ever touch me again or mess with me again, I will kill you. And I walked away. And I wasn't trying to threaten the boy. I wasn't trying to threaten him at all. I was simply letting him know in the best way that I could at that moment that if you continue to do this crap to me, and because of this snap that I just had, I may not know. I may not be able to stop myself next time. You know, I may not be able to stop and just realize what the hell I'm doing. And I will just go off, and who knows what will happen. So, we're already at 11:24, 11:25. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. Yeah, and I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because I'm sure he, you know, probably got picked on, probably got who knows what else after that. I don't feel like it was the best thing to have done. You know, I don't feel like, you know, vindicated or yay, I got the bully or anything like that. I was utterly ashamed of myself for allowing myself to get to that point, to get to the point where I let the anger control me. You know, the anger of all the frustrations that led up to that point just snapped. And I mean, luckily I didn't know how to fight. Luckily I didn't do any major damage to the boy. I just got on top of him, started wailing like a windmill, didn't really probably connect hardly at all, just pounding on him, kind of like an ape. You know, you see in the movies, you see the ape kind of just ba-bomb with their hands. It's kind of hard for me to, but, I mean, I can just imagine if I'd have had any skill at that time, what I could have done. And, you know, without the temperance of that tool, you know, just letting it go, just letting the anger surface and protecting myself, basically, you know, like you put an animal in a corner, and what are they going to do? They are going to viciously attack, and that's what happened. And that's it, guys. We're at 13 minutes. I keep saying we're done. We're going to continue this. This will be part 1 of high school. And as always, I truly do love each and every one of you. Truly and deeply I do. Carpe diem. Oh, one more note. After I went to my locker, after this incident, the bullies around my street that I had talked about in the previous episodes, one of them actually came up to my locker and told me that if this particular individual or any of his friends bothers me anymore, just come tell them and they will take care of it. You think I really gave a fuck what a bully of mine, you know, from the years before, what, you know, that I somehow, whatever, you know, somehow made it in their eyes as being worthy of something? You think I gave a fuck what they thought? Okay. I truly do love each and every one of you. Truly and deeply I do. Carpe diem. And as always, catch you on the flip side. Ha ha!